I would just like to start and give you a little history, if I may. In the early 80s, I appeared quite by accident. I was at the Royal Botanic Gardens queue, hoping to get a scholarship to come to America to study horticulture, maybe at Wave Hill, at the suggestion of Rosemary Veary. My letter of intent did not make it to Marco, and so Rosemary suggested I call Mr. Cabot. I think he has connections there, she said. Rosemary was just back from her very first American lecture tour and had sat next to Frank at dinner after he'd proudly helped her with her Wave Hill lecture. So, armed with a stack of 50-pence pieces in a beat-up London phone box, I nervously made my call. Mr. Cabot took a while getting to the phone, and my money was running out. Pips were going, beep, 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 and I thought, this is the end. And eventually came, and I could barely hear him. He said, give me your number, and I will call you right back. Phew. And just FYI, in America, we say Cabot. But please call me Frank. Forget Wave Hill, he said. Come to my garden. I'll pay your airfare and give you free board and lodging, and hung up. I didn't win the scholarship. Oh well. Amazingly enough, I got time off. My supervisors realized this was a very special opportunity knocking, and one that did not come along every day of the week. After less than 5 minutes of conversation, my life changed. I came for 6 weeks and met the Cabots and lots of other lovely people, including Betty Corning, H. Lincoln Foster, and his wife Timmy, Marco Polo Stefano, and John Nally. It was quite the introduction to horticulture in America. In Stonecrop, I saw a garden with plenty of promise and potential. And a real bonus, I saw horses in the fields. Eventually, I got a green card and came for Rio. My goal was to revive the Alpine nursery, but I got somewhat sidetracked, finishing and enhancing the garden, and along the way found an important focus that would give us a higher level of credence, training future gardeners. I wanted to share all my horticultural training and experiences. Certainly during my career, I have had more than my fair share of mentoring and lucky breaks, and wanted to reciprocate. This year, Stonecrop is celebrating 20 years as a public garden and 20 years of our internship program, with our mission to teach students to know, grow, and use plants, then to send them out into the world to make great gardens. 62 students have passed through our garden and gardened at Stonecrop. Early days were exciting. I definitely suffered some transplant shock, but was nurtured to grow and flourish with the Cabot support. Frank made sure we went to as many gardens as we could and met all the horticultural greats. T.H. Everett, Miss Hall, Betty Scholz, Bill Frederick, Harold Epstein, to name just a few. Then again, Frank did this for everyone. He was always arranging opportunities for people, including many a lecture tour from the U.S. and from other countries to the U.S. He wrote endless letters connecting gardening kindred spirits all over the world, long before the days of easy email. In 1986, he was given a plant of a very choice double hepatica from Molly Saunderson of Ireland, Hepatica transylvanica Ellison Spence, and Frank made sure that if anyone wanted that plant, they could have a piece. We had a long waiting list. Same with the double bloodroot, Sanguinaria canadensis forma multiplex. They just had to wait patiently until we could propagate it for them. Gardeners love to talk plants, find great plants, and share them. And half the fun of gardening is then finding the right place for that plant. This sometimes is not easy and takes several tries. Plants do come and go, and therefore need to be appreciated and cultivated, and then shared. And the same with people. Frank was a genius at placing plants and placing people where they would flourish. Frank was a great instigator and made things happen. He liked action. He was so very passionate and was often moved to tears by beautiful things. When he heard of the demise of Aberglasney, a pre-15th century garden in Wales, he set out to save it and did. He had only seen the garden from a slideshow at a garden conservancy lecture, but he took the next step. As I was making my transition to the USA, Anne and Frank wrote to me frequently, sharing news of Stonecrop, gardens, plants, and people. I felt very welcomed. As I read through the letters, they are so inspiring. There is even a piece of sheet music. I think Frank sent this to me to give me confidence in my decision to leave England. The song was, "Heaven Will Protect the Working Girl." A 1909 Edgar Smith and A. Baldwin Sloan piece. Well, that was certainly true for me, and I believe for anyone else lucky enough to have Frank in their corner. Frank could have excelled at anything: theater, cooking. His sources were to die for. He was a comedian. He was a jokester. He once exhibited a dead plant at a local alpine show and got a blue ribbon. Helichrysum coralloides variety rigor mortis. One of those special New Zealand plants that can look alive when dead and dead when alive. However, we are all so fortunate that he chose plants and gardens as his overwhelming passion. I have just a few slides that I would like to share. Stonecrop is just a fraction of Anne and Frank's gifts to us, and I intend to, in his spirit, to keep calm and garden on.